I like girls. And to me, that was no issue. My daughters are very open to it and very accepting. It was my nanay. She was still resistant. Sabi niya nga sa akin, kahit si Ellen DeGeneres pa yung iharap mo sa akin. Hindi ko talaga matatanggap. I just felt motivated. Always pushing forward. You have to wisen up. You have to toughen up.
Evidenced by, despite the challenges, and you're saying, wow, I still am so grateful. I still feel so blessed.
Authenticity is very important.
It is a book on 21 days of being able to pause intentionally with great courage and compassion, to not compromise what you know you deserve. Welcome everyone to Moment with Coach Pia. Angel, when I sit down with people and I observe how comfortable they are just sitting with themselves in silence, I'm surprised at how people prefer the busyness with all of this technology. And then when you ask them to pause in silence, doon sila nagiging uncomfortable. That's why day one, and I love it that you also share that you yourself are in that journey, that they can say, oy, kung kahit si Angel Aquino, yan, nagtutuloy-tuloy pa rin siya. Kaya rin natin to, guys.
I have to admit, ganun, nandun pa rin ako sa struggle na yun. Nasa journey pa rin ako of learning to be with me. Yes.
Angel, I would love for us to talk about that common longing. People actually have a longing to pause. Hindi nila palaging aaminin yun upfront na, guys, let's slow down. I really need time for myself. I don't want to keep on involving myself every weekend in socials and things like that. The courage to say no and saying, I want time for myself. I want to normalize that. Angel, what has it been like for you at 52 to be able to be more confident in, this is what I want to spend time with. Ito, wag na dito.
You have to make it a habit to be comfortable just being with yourself. So ako, I think it started during the pandemic na wala you were cooped up at home. Then I learned yoga. And I think that's the time that I started learning to comfortable being still. Kasi nga sanay tayo ng kumikilos lagi. Parang feeling natin it's a waste of time when we're not moving, when we're not connecting with other people. Pero it's also important to connect with yourself.
Thank you for mentioning that, Angel, na you discovered this nung pandemic because there was an awakening. People were forced to hear themselves more clearly because the distractions are fewer. And then I noticed how nagkaroon ng higher standard for self-care during and after the pandemic. Ayaw na ng tao bumalik sa dating gulo. Kasi na-realize na, okay pala nung mas slow yung pace ko. And hearing that from you, na as recent as 2020, di ba? There's never a rush kasi I observe my clients, they like comparing themselves to others. We really have to support people, embrace their uniqueness, that their rhythms are different from others.
Ang hirap naman talaga. You really have to train yourself to not see what you don't have. Really need to do consciously. Kasi I heard this before. The end of freedom is when you start comparing yourselves with others. Kasi how can you say that you're free when nilalagay mo yung sarili mo sa parameters ng kung ano yung meron yung iba?
It's a destination that if I've achieved certain success, especially if it's accolades that can be publicly known, like in your case, kilala sino si Angel Aquino. Instead, what I'm experiencing is a person who is so humble, who's saying na, oy guys, I'm still there. Again, nothing happens by chance. This day is so appropriate for us to discuss with you as the champion of this day because people have to understand that obstacles will always be there.
Now, the reality, the fact of aging, diba? So, it's something na I've always been scared of facing, pero wala eh. How do I manage it, diba? How do I go through this na hindi ako masyadong nasistress? Or maybe nasistress ako kasi ayan nga, lumalabas nga siya, diba?
Oh, I didn't even notice. What is the stress that's coming out?
Vitiligo.
Okay.
It happened also during, I think, the pandemic.
Okay, so this is new.
Yeah, it's an autoimmune disease. So obvious kasi nga, morena ako eh. And then you suddenly have these white spots. But just like my mistakes, I've learned to live with them. So, sana lang,
Yeah.
yan.
It is like what you said, inevitable. Sayang yun, yung
Inevitable.
aging, kung pwede lang, no? Kung pwede lang, no? So, what has your journey been like managing all of these changes dito sa edad nating to?
Yun, I've been reading a lot, not just your book, but also anything that has to do with health and being able to, stay on my feet for as long as I'm alive, di ba? Kasi importante yun so that people won't be taking care of me when I'm older. And keeping my sanity. Hindi, kasi nga, yun nga, I mean, all these things that we have to navigate. I remember with my nanay, when she went through menopause, we were saying, kaya siguro ang sungit-sungit ni nanay kasi nagme-menopause na siya. Diba ganun naman lagi yung sinasabi natin nung bata tayo pag may mga masusungit na middle-aged women, nagme-menopause na sila. Ako hindi ko naramdaman yon, yung nagsusungit ako. I don't know. It's people around me who can say that. But sa akin, mas ang manifestations were physical. Like hot flashes, and then, you start gaining weight, and you feel sluggish. So siguro doon nanggagaling yung sungit. Kasi init, ganyan.
Yeah.
Diba? But, so yeah, I read up on that. So, tinatry kong kumain ng mas maayos kasi sabi nila you can actually counter that with the food that you eat. So, I'm trying my best para lang mas ma-manage siya ng maayos.
Yung example kasi ng menopause na hindi matakbuhan, it's an obstacle that we all know women will go through. And that same example can be applied to different life transitions. So for our listeners out there, it may not be a chronological or an age na merong challenge. Pwede kasing life stage, like leaving college, starting your first job, di ba?
Yung mga crossroads.
Crossroads, di ba? Or being single, then now getting married, and then raising children. So the listening to the self and making sure that we do our listening with love, it has to be talagang double effort. Kasi narinig na natin kay Angel na she's already given so many opportunities to succeed. And yet you have to be intentional, di ba? Hindi siya automatic na gumagaan na lang.
So paano ba yun, Coach Pia? How do you start listening to yourself? And then, how do you know when you're listening to yourself with love?
There are several things that I look for. The first is, are you able to give yourself yung mga basic needs lang? Halimbawa doon ang tulog. You are able to identify it, inaantok pa ako. And yet, the way we respond to it tells me the person's clarity muscle. Executing it is another. So the inner work muscle, literally, and I talk about this in my first book called Focus on What Matters, inner siya kasi nasa loob mo, hindi mo yun nakikita. Tapos work kasi merong laboring, may toiling, may discomfort. And the discomfort really comes from kapag hindi ako makinig sa iba at sarili ko lang talaga pakinggan ko, maihaharap sa akin yung mga obstacles na baka ayaw kong aminin sa sarili. That's why one of my foundational principles of clarity is respect your own pace, time, and process. Kasi hindi tayo palaging ready to hear the self. Have you experienced such situations also?
Yeah, parang may instead of attending to it, parang mas you shrug it off. Parang ganun, I don't wanna deal with it. Kasi siguro, feeling mo it will deal with itself on its own, di ba? Pero hindi eh, ikaw nga yun eh. So, you really need, it really needs you. Oh, you can't run away.
Can't run away.
Yes, pero, I don't know, mayroon akong konting side na na escapist. So, minsan, I tend to do that. But then, yun na nga eh. It comes back with a vengeance. Ngayon pa lang, harapin mo na.
We want people to pause and stop, be comfortable with the thoughts and feelings because they can actually not harm you. That's what you are ready to hear and that's what you are ready to feel. Whatever it is, and we continue to grow moment to moment. I cannot thank you enough, Angel, for this conversation. I would want to make sure na makontinue natin yung
Day 21.
Yeah, diba?
Up to day 21, yes.
Iba talaga yung example that you admitted you're already Angel Aquino and you're constantly learning. Ang laking inspirasyon yon for all of our listeners because clarity is not a destination. It is really a journey. And for us to be intentional in loving ourselves because we're not taught how to do this, we learn it along the way. So from your One Core family, your moment-to-moment family, ito na.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being our day one guests.
It's an honor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dahil day one guest natin, si Angel Aquino, isipin nyo, ano pa kaya mangyayari sa mga susunod na days where we will be inspired by other people's being present moment to moment. Remember, clarity is not something you find. It is something that you return home to. I'm Coach Pia. Remember, like, subscribe, follow, share. Kailangan natin to. Magtulungan tayo moment to moment. Bye!
Bye. Thank you.